All right, here we go. Here we go. We are live. We are going to be doing a Streets and Scholars episode. This is Alex Alonso 101, and I'm here with Madd Ronald, aka Ronald Chapman, for episode. I forget what episode I'm on, but thanks for pulling up, OG.
Oh man, what's up, man? Hey, I appreciate it, homie. Truly, I do, man. You know what I mean? It's always an honor to have the opportunity to be able to sit here and chop it up with you.
All right, let me just make one change on the camera. But go ahead, let the people know where they can find you. Right, we'll start off with that. Give them your socials.
All right, you can find me at Madd Ronald Radio Podcast on most social media platforms. At the same time, you can also find me at my website, www.hoodwire.tv. Also, you can catch the podcast at Hoodwire Radio Network on all podcast platforms. Madd Ronald Radio Podcast and Hoodwire. Y'all can look that up everywhere, anywhere. Google it. You'll be able to find me. That's where I'm at.
And it's been almost a year since you've been back home.
It's been a year.
Been a year.
Yeah, it's been exactly a year.
It's been exactly a year.
Yeah.
So how's it feel, man? Readjusting, man, to California, Southern California, LA living after being gone those years.
It's good, man. I mean, in my life, it grants me the ability right now this year just to catch up because this is a big disruption. It's been a disruption being snatched up off the streets and then carted off to Georgia and all the stuff that I went through. You know what I mean? To me, it wasn't no big deal. But if I really, but to put it in perspective, it would be a big deal because of the fact that psychologically that was a lot, man. I was walking out my building today and I was getting in my car for to come here, and the first thing that struck me coming out the building was I thought about the day that they grabbed me when I was walking out the building the same way.
Minding your business too, huh?
I was walking out the building talking to my daughter. I was talking to my daughter, man. Turned around like I was finna open up the door with my key because I realized I had a dirty T-shirt on, and I'm talking about wasn't nobody in front of me. Man, I turned around like 15 seconds later, somebody said, freeze. I hold it. Man, I got like 60 guns on me.
So what happens when to all your possessions, you probably have a car, you got a bunch of clothes, you probably can't, you can't take care of yourself. So what happens when you get locked up like that and you got a lot of possessions?
Man, I'm going to tell you like this, to be honest, truthfully real. Ain't nobody going to handle your property like you will.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And if you're going to be gone for so long, I'm going to tell you like this here, you relinquish and get rid of that what has value. That way you can cash out and liquidate and get that money put on your books because you'd rather be able to get access to the money that your stuff was sold for than somebody else sell it while you in jail and hold on to it and swear to God they never got nothing.
Now, I remember you telling me you lost all your handwritten writings that you had on those yellow legal pads. You had several legal pads with some history. And in fact, you know what? Those legal pads used to be sitting on top of this bookcase in this room, and they would have still been there to this day.
I remember that.
And then I remember you came and said you wanted them back, and I was like, damn, I was like.
That. And I went to jail then. And lost all of those then. But see, writing is interesting because I got a lot of. I was sitting in Upson County, man. And I literally sat down and wrote a book, man. I wrote a book. It is entitled I wrote a podcast series, and my podcast series is entitled "A West Adams Love Song." And it's actually, I sat down and literally wrote out. I had to write about 300 pages. And it's about a young girl that grew up in West Adams that ain't affiliated, but come from an affiliated family that got a boyfriend that's a Crip that go to Fauché, and they both go to Fauché. So the family dynamic is always going to be conflicting. Then at the same time, we living in that atmosphere and landscape of South Central LA and the environment between the West Adams area and the Jefferson Park area. So you see what I'm saying? It's what I'm going to do is I'm trying to make this into a podcast series. Because of the fact that, you know what I mean, I'm trying to make it something captivating to where people can actually live out the experience before their eyes. I sat down and I wrote that, and then I was sitting down and I was writing, I was working on a book too. I don't know if I want to talk about the title of the book yet, but I was working on a book though, and the book that I was working on, I'm not writing an autobiography. I'm tired of reading autobiographies because they become like cowboy stories. Everybody killed everybody went to prison, everybody died in the end. I'm trying to write a book to be of service somewhat to the people. In the book, I'm writing about basically things like what is it that creates the gang member, the mind state of the gang member. See, I always talk about, before I've said on the podcast before, I always think about, what did the killer eat for breakfast this morning? Did he know he was going to kill somebody when he went out? Because these are kids. A lot of these are young kids, and they don't even know the power of what they got in their hands. So you got to wonder, how did he start his day out? You know what I mean? Because the killer might be 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? The killer might be the young homie, might be the little homie's little brother. They've been following him for all this time. Now, he might have just accidentally might have been the one that actually got him killed and messed around, and now he's in jail for the rest of his life. But nobody have a realization, because the picture they're going to draw him is going to be of a monster. But they don't understand the influence of the environment, and this is what creates that. But in my book, I'm touching on that. Something I'm really touching on is I am touching on the suicide rate among gang members. And that is something I find to be very deep and disturbing, because I know so many gang members that have committed suicide. And I'm seeking statistics, because I want to compare this to the number of combat vets that commit suicide. Because, it's coming out of a war-torn environment, let us say South Central LA in the gang environment, let us say Kuwait, let us say Iraq, let us say wherever that might be, right? It's people doing things in the name of whatever it is they're doing by any means, meaning that whoever got to die, whoever lives, lives, but you stuck with the trauma and the stories, you stuck with the experiences. So these are the type of things that some people might not be able to deal with. We look at how many people are self-medicating today. We see gang members and say, okay, well, boom, the homie just dope fiend, whatever this and this, but you don't know what he might have did, that he might have needed to self-medicate. He might have done some stuff way back in the days that he got to live with in his own head, that the only way he can live with himself is to self-medicate, because the demons that we have within are they deep.
Have you ever thought about PTSD in the hood?
Yeah, I always think about it, because I understand it and I know that it exists. I remember from the time that I was growing up, I remember everyday gang violence. I remember gunshots. I remember I've been shot. It's so many experiences that I've had that there's no way in the world. I got PTSD. That's just like I just said a minute ago, when I walked out of my building and I'm thinking about how they grabbed me and took me to jail. I got PTSD from that right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In my head right now, I relive that experience. But at the same time, that PTSD it becomes minimal, because you know what happens to PTSD? Your PTSD gets erased by a more traumatic experience. So therefore, you have what's called a compound trauma, because the PTSD, it gets just covered, never taken care of, never treated, never dealt with. So later on in life, you got an unstable human being that's maybe on whatever these psychotropic drugs that they offer people for mental illnesses and all this other stuff. But nobody's ever talked to this person about what is the ailments that have driven them to this space, right? The alcohol, the whatever. It's like being in the streets and you see homies out here and they doing whatever they doing, but nobody understands why they do it. They think the homie down because he acting crazy, but you don't realize the homie might really have a mental illness. He might really be going through something. And at that moment, it might be best to try to figure it out and help him out, because he might be one step away. Just like this. I remember signs, and I've had people contact and communicate with me and be like, hey man, I'm in a bad space, this, and this, right? But then at the same time, some of those people, same people that might have taken their own lives later on. But they were stuck in that bad space, and they didn't know how to communicate their way out of it and share with the right people to get them into the right places in order to be able to deal with whatever it was that they had going on. Because once again, that's those demons. You can't turn them off. When I went to Upson County, I'm gonna tell you a funny thing. Upson County. When I arrived in Upson County, they put me in segregation.
This is Georgia you're talking about?
Georgia in 2020. I went to jail October 27, 2020. When I arrived in Georgia, around November 18th, they put me in a hole. And what was the segregation? The hole was like a pod that just wasn't functioning. They would let people out for an hour a day to go to the shower or watch TV or talk on the phone in the hole. Where I was at, you was locked in all day, and you came out for about a half hour a night, 15 minutes to use the phone, 15 minutes to shower. Then they lock you right back down. But the interesting thing about this is that grown men, it was a lot couldn't handle just being isolated. couldn't handle being in these spaces by themselves. I used to be sitting in my cell, right? And I would hear grown men in here crying, losing their minds, beating their heads on the bars, screaming and hollering. I'm talking, you only reason you're doing this because you're in the cell by yourself. But watch this, when you're in the cell by yourself, now you ain't got nobody to talk to, and all the demons in your mind are activated.
Oh, wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you in there crying and screaming. I'm telling you, I used to trip off of this about people. You know what I mean? Because think about it, it's total silence. We in here, I'm in there, ain't got no human contact. I can holler from cell to cell, but how long is that gonna last?
What about if you preoccupy your time with a pencil and a piece of paper and just keep writing?
Well, that's what I did.
Or reading.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I maintained my time. I occupied my time by reading and writing. I used to get books, and I used to get books when I was down there, man. I literally had more than 50 books when I was down there. I read more than 50 books when I was in Upson County Jail alone. And like I said, I was down there writing also. I was down there occupying my time constructively. I've done time. I've been in the hole before. I've done harder time. You know what I mean? In harder places. You know what I mean? So I can adapt to it. But the typical person cannot adapt to it. The normal person, the person that's been in life every day, dealing with their woman and their kid and going to work every day and living a normal, conscious life. The guy that had a drink or whatever, get in a fight and go to jail. Now he ain't used to being in jail because he ain't never been in this space. Now he got all this crazy stuff going on in his head because that's when it's going to come out. You're in the room by yourself now. I remember sitting in the room in the cell, and I was in O-Wing. That's the whole of Soledad. I was in O-Wing back in I was in O-Wing in 1988, I think it was. Man, I was in there like 6 months up there. Man, and I remember the head trip, sitting in the cell all that time, and because you can't help but go through some kind of psychological trip. You know what I mean? You by yourself. If you by yourself, you're gonna really, really, really think about some things. Some of these things is gonna ignite some things.
So O-Wing is isolation in Soledad?
Yeah. O-Wing's administrative segregation.
I remember in 88 in Soledad, I was looking at some photos. The Bloods was flamed up.
Yeah, we used to wear flags up there.
Red bandanas, red sweatshirts.
We used to be able to get red flags in packages. We used to be able to get red sweatshirts in packages. People were walking around there, man. I'm telling you, man, they was walking around there in Levi's. They was walking around. Soledad was active, though, because Soledad was like the gangbanging. It was a place where the gangbangers went. It was one of those spaces where, man, they had hundreds of gang members in there. You go to the yard, man, was big. Central was a big yard, and you go to the yard, you look around the yard, you're going to see colors. Red, blue, purple, orange, whatever. If it signifies something, it means something, you're going to see it out there.
So everyone kind of stays in their own groups, even though they're on the same yard.
Everybody got their own spaces.
But on the same yard, though.
Same yard. Everybody got their own spaces. You don't be in nobody else's space. We know who's who and where's what. You know what I mean? We got on. Back then, the Bloods had their own phones. So these were blood phones. You didn't stay off these phones because of the fact they was reserved. Crips had their own phones. You know what I mean? It was just the way the shuffle was in the prison and stuff.
Now, you know, I posted the most iconic Blood prison photo on the internet several years ago. And your brother, it's from Soledad. It's about, I don't know, 10 Bloods all standing in 3 different rows. Your brother is in that photo along with Iceman and Celis.
I was up there when they was there, but I was on the North Yard.
Okay.
They was on Central. I remember when they was there. I seen Celis when I was up there at medical, and my brother was up there. They was up there. Soledad has different yards. Soledad, our prison system is humongous. In a prison in California, I was in prison in Georgia, in a Georgia prison, like a big prison down there. They called Jackson a big prison. Jackson had about 1,800 people in it, right? I've been on prison yards like Susanville, where the one yard might have had 1,800 people, but there might be 3 or 4 yards. You see what I'm saying? So each yard is like its own prison inside of this prison because we don't have any access to the other people on the other yards. There are different levels, different security levels, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. There's different security levels. Level 1 is a minimum. Level 2 is like minimum, medium minimum. Level 3 is like medium maximum, and level 4 is maximum security. Now, level 1 and 2 is cell living. Level 3 and 4 is, level 1 and 2 is dorm living. Levels 3 and 4 are cell living. And these are things that make differences when we speak levels, because security levels, the more dangerous you are, you ain't gonna be in no dorm.
Or the more points you
Right.
rack up.
But
right?
that's all based on your security level and your crime.
Okay, so you were saying that to make a distinction between the yard that your brother and them was on at Soledad and the
Right.
yard you was on. So you guys were in Soledad at the same time?
Yeah. We was in 87. We was up there at the same time. He was on Central Yard. So I didn't get a chance to talk with him. I got kites from him up there because we had people that was moving around the prisons. So I got kites from him up there because he was on the other yard. You know, people know, because you got to remember, the inmates run the prisons. The inmates do everything.
But that was a hell of a photo that
Soledad was, man, the gang members was in Soledad. I remember Soledad was, see, when I speak of indoctrination, I always talk about being indoctrinated as a gang member, right? And to have an understanding of what indoctrination is a person that has been converted to a certain level of ideology. It is like proselytizing a person in religion. When I say proselytize, is to convert a person to a religion. And when I speak of indoctrination, I speak like that because these are the places that indoctrination takes place in. Because you're isolated and you're in here with nothing but gang members, right? When I remember young, being in the blood module, and every night, all they did was sing songs, Bloods rule the streets of L.A. All it was in there, because everybody talked about killing Crips. Everybody talked about, and this was the ideology, because now people are believing this because this is all that's being discussed. Stockholm syndrome, to constantly bombard a person with a level of information so much that it becomes a belief. And this is what it was, because not only was it a belief, let us say in theory, in practicality, it became a belief because of the fact that it became real life when you hit them prison yards and you came face to face with the Crips. So this enforced the ideology and beliefs that went behind all of the gang shit that we were already involved in. That's why when I tell people about being indoctrinated, when I was young, when I was a gang member, it wasn't the fact that I was a gang member that I wanted to be a thug or nothing. I believed in this.
yeah.
And that was that much.
Now let me ask you, back in 87, 88, when you was going in and out of prison, how common was this protective custody yards, SNY yards, PC yards? Because it really was a new thing back then. Now they say most of the yards today are that way. But what was it like back then?
They had PC. And if you got off the line, you got off the line. There was no halfway. It was, they didn't have SNY. I've been in the system and I've seen it and I've tripped off of it, right? Okay, I went in 87. I went back to prison in, I want to say 90. Then I went back to prison in 92. Then I went, I think, in 97, something like that. And then I went and the thing I'm saying is, I say that because every time I went, I saw a different change take place. I've seen politics change. I've seen evolution within this here. Now I'm in prison in 06 and they talking about there's SNY.
Yeah.
It's so weird now. I'm a true story, honest, truthfully, and I kid you not. I am at Delano, North Kern State Prison.
Is that for reception?
For reception. I'm at Delano. We on C Yard. So we out for rec. We out for the yard. We on the yard. There's a bunch of homosexuals. There's about 15 of them. Walking the track together. I'm being funny. Hey, man, look what the fuck are they? They're a gang now? They gang banging? You know, I'm being funny, right? Motherfucker told me that's the Gay Boy Gangsters. I don't know if this is real or not, but they told me this some shit that exists on the SNY yard. I was in prison, the homosexuals hollering out in the reception center, ain't nobody taking nothing from no gay person up in here, and this and this and this and this. I'm just sitting there tripping off this because this is something that I've been doing time for a long time, and this is all new to me because of this. I'm hearing about these yards, and I'm hearing about there are gangs on these yards that make it dangerous for a dude like me to go to the yard. Somebody that ain't never told on nobody. Somebody been living by the code, right? That if I go to the yard, they got to see my paperwork and know who I told on. Because if I ain't told on nobody, they gonna get me off the yard.
Now, was that something you experienced the last time you went to a California prison?
That was '06 when I was in Delano.
Okay.
When I was in Delano, because they did not have this. When I was in prison, there wasn't no SNY. There wasn't such a thing as SNY when I was doing time coming up through the system. So you was in the system. You was in the system. You there. Either you here or you in PC. And you ain't going to PC and then come back to general population because you ain't no good then. Your name ain't no good. So, the homies going to be looking, at just the way it was. We operated in certain means in a certain way on a certain politic. And within that politic, it was a militarized motion. It was a militarized motion of the politic. So therefore, once you dropped out of the structure of that, then you yourself became a pariah.
Why do you think the number of PC inmates and SNY inmates has exploded over the last 20 years? Because they say it's half the California prison population is on these yards now.
Here's a good question for that one. What is the population of lifers that have transcended into these SNY yards? Because then I say that because it's some people that have been in prison for so long that have changed their lives so much. See, if I went to jail 30, 40 years ago and I was a little killer with the Uzi and I was out there doing everything, but then suddenly I've been in prison for the last 25, 30 years and I found myself and now I'm Ronald with a Bible and this ain't my life no more. And now I'm trying my best to escape this. I'm trying to get back into the world with the things that I left behind and the things that I love. Then this might be something I might do. I might find myself.
Yeah.
I might come to the realization and realize that this is all bullshit.
Because you've been there so long.
I've been there so long and life is going on outside.
Because people that are free come to that realization.
Right.
Over 20,
right.
years.
That's what I have met. So, and let me tell you honest truth. I have never met a gang member that had been in jail for a long period of time for a gang-related murder that they were proud of. Because there's an awakening. See, we do things as kids. We play. We in the streets. We playing with guns. We playing with each other. We ain't throwing rocks. We throwing bullets. You got hit. Now you got hurt. Now I'm in jail. Now I go to jail for 25 years. Now, okay, whatever it was that I thought that we didn't like each other for moving in this community that I didn't move into, but my parents moved into, and the community your parents moved into that we chose to fight over. Now, suddenly I realize that has no relevance and it's not significant now. I've been in jail all this time and wasted all this life.
So basically what you're saying, sometimes the only way to come back home, if you've been sitting in there for 20, 25, 30 years and you've been solid the whole time, is to get off this yard.
Well, from my perspective, I'm saying that, I'm not saying that's the only way. I'm just saying that I can see a sense of maturity where a person can say, man, I've been away from my family for 25 years. I don't care about none of this. My grandchildren are growing up right now without me. I can see that.
Yeah, because there's some yards right now. Salinas Valley has a couple. Calipatria has a couple. Kern Valley, that it's just gang banging and gang politics.
Right.
And if you're on that yard, you're not really trying to come home.
Well, this is the thing. It's always been that way. There just never was any options. They offering an option now. See, watch this. You in prison. Remember, we were just talking about the OG homie. He been approved all this time, all that time, ready, could have been all this, right? But at the same time, he's not ready to go to the board because he's not prepared to go to one of these spaces. Because to go to one of these spaces means now that I have found myself in a calm space. I found myself where I'm tired of all the foolishness. I'm showing them I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be a part of that. That's what but the homie, that I'm doing what I do the way I do it. And this is what I came as, this is what I'm gonna leave as. You see what I'm saying? And that's what you're up against, because those are the people that are, you know what I mean? Plus those that benefit from the politic of whatever's going on the yard by way of money, whatever else, and control.
Yeah, I noticed that there are more and more black inmates that are seeing what you're saying and making that transition from this yard to that yard. And there's not a lot of judgment towards that person. But the Latinos, once they come to that realization, they're ostracized by their peers. Have you noticed that difference? That a Latino that wants to make that realization, I want to go home. I miss my family. I've been here for 25. They're not given that same,
The structure is different. I was in Susanville on the Cascade Yard, 2006. When I first arrived at Susanville, there was a yard. They had the Norteños on the yard. So my first day my first day there, I see some Norteños attack another Norteño. So I'm not knowing what's going on because of the fact I just arrived. I just got here overnight. What I come to understand on that yard was the fact that that was the dropout yard for the North. So all the Norteños that were on the yard at that time, they were all dropped out of the structure. But they had an understanding that the active member could not come on that yard couldn't be there for 24 hours. So they had to do a removal.
Yeah.
Right? And that would happen all over the yard. They would be doing removals, right? But this was the thing. These are those guys. In their mind, this is that space that you're talking about. Because for them, on this yard, these guys can't allow to have guys that are functioning and active among them. These guys have to be in a situation where they have to be under the control of their opposition. Because they're saying, we're not active. You understand what I mean? We're not active. We disarm. So we over here and they're in control. So the opposition is saying now, okay, so if any of them other guys come here, they can't be here at all. So you got to make the move or we going to do what we do on a grand scale to everybody.
So basically, you see random dudes taking flight off of other dudes.
Yeah.
Because they
and they all look the same. I was so confused. I didn't know what was going on. See, these are things that I'm confused about. I've never seen it before. I'm so far up north. I don't know what's going on. But this is what's taking place up here, and this is because people had to start explaining to me what was taking place. I didn't know. You know what I mean?
So you saw I guess a clash between the North and the South, and it's just a bunch of Mexicans.
I see the North and the South. I was on the yard of Susanville, 2008. I don't know what the word was that came. I heard it was going to get into it. And we all get the word because it was store day. So they try to say, okay, well, after the store, it's going to go down. They got word that, okay, they just said their opposition got word that there was dropouts on the yard. Well, they knew it. And they sent word and said, well, that's what you on the yard. What that say about y'all? This is what came over there. And this is where I heard what was the word on the yard. And they sent word over there and told them to do what they had to do. And now they did this and got all of them out of there. Now they brought some real ones over here. I'm talking about the real structured ones, the ones that's out there exercising, the ones that's out there posted up around the handball courts, the ones that's out here walking the track jogging, the ones that's standing around the toilet while your man over there handling his business. I'm talking about the ones that's really with that business, that structure. They brought them in there. And they got into it. Man, they got into it let's just say the oppositions. They got into it. There's a couple of them. You ain't never seen a motherfucking unit move like that. Them dudes move like soldiers. They move like the military. You had motherfuckers running. They was only about 10 or 15 of them got into it with about 50 dudes. And I swear, you seen people running everywhere.
Now, all these prisons that you just mentioned, Susanville, Soledad, Delano, most all these prisons now have a PC yard on them. I think almost every single prison, even Pelican Bay,
right,
has a PC yard.
Right, I heard that.
Yeah. So sometimes I don't know, when you tell someone a story about you being in a certain prison, you might have to always say before it turned, right?
No, but there's a main line everywhere.
Not in Chuckawalla.
They don't have main line there?
Nah, Chuckawalla is all PC, all 4
okay,
yards.
yeah. See, I've never been in a place like that. Everywhere I've been, see, the one thing about it all is that, and I learned doing time. This is like I learned always. You got to be good. You got to be good in the street. You got to be good in jail. Your name got to be good.
I think there's a second prison that's all PC too. Now you mentioned Donovan. Donovan has the EOP.
Donovan.
It has the EOP building. I guess those are. How did you look at people who were under meds that were in prison at that time? Were they looked at a certain kind of way?
It depends on the person. If you playing or if you need it.
Yeah, because some people are playing because they hustle.
Right. Are you playing or do you really need it? Yeah. Are you playing to go crazy? You know what I mean? In other words, am I starting out acting like I'm doing this just to get the check, and then all of a sudden I end up walking in circles hollering at the pigeons on the bus stop? You understand what I mean? Are you playing? In my perspective of it is, if you need it, like mental health, I take that seriously.
Yeah, but I'm asking you from the perspective of a younger Madd Ronald, not
somebody that's on meds.
Yeah, not the wise Madd Ronald that we have today.
I'm gonna look at you back then. If you was on meds, I'm not gonna look at you differently. I mean, because we was all together. They didn't separate us back then. They didn't have triple CMS yards and stuff like that. Everybody was together. They just had a med call, pill call. Everybody, they could bring the pills to you. You know what I mean? They didn't have all that there. If you wasn't in CMC, Vacaville, or I think it was Chino or something like that, where they have facilities for people like that there, then you were just out there in general population.
Because I've been hearing different opinions on the pills situation, where some people be like, nah, if you was EOP or triple CMS, you was no good, and then others.
See, they didn't really have that when I was doing time. Like I said, when I went back, it was triple CMS. When I went back in 06, they had triple CMS. Before that, there was Cat J. There was J-Cats. I was in California Men's Colony I was in CMC East, man, and they had a lot. That was a medical hospital. I mean, it was a medical. They had a hospital there, and there was a lot of people there that was on mental health and all kind of stuff like that. That was a space where it was really interesting to see, because there was a lot of people there that were mental health, man. There was a lot of people there, and like, those places everybody just went to. You didn't see, they didn't separate. The only thing that separated you really was just your level, your security level. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Because if I got to go to the doctor, I got to go to the doctor. The only difference is going to make a difference if I'm going to get meds is if I'm chained up being escorted by security guards and you not.
So did the JCAT category, how common was that when you was going? Because we hear that word thrown around all the time.
It means category J.
Yeah.
That's what it means. It's not JCAT. We say that in prison. They had different categories for the people that were incarcerated. There's different categories, like what was it? It was a Cat J. It was another one. The lifer is a certain category. I forget. I think it was a Cat T, but I could be wrong. But there was different categories, and category J was mental illness. That's why they say JCAT. It was category J is actually. So you know what I mean? It's like how 5150.
So how was it like when you knew a couple of inmates that were Cat J? I'm assuming. Or it wasn't as big as it is considered now.
I don't know. I don't know, because it wasn't a thing then. You weren't stigmatized by it.
Yeah.
See, nowadays, you live on a yard in a building full of people that's afflicted with the same thing. Before, you might have been my cellmate. You just got pill call. The nurse stopped at the door and gave you a cup of water and your medication. That's all. That's the only difference.
Did you ever have to eat a juke ball in prison?
Nah, that's the county jail.
Oh, that's only the county?
Yeah, no, I never been to the hole in the county jail.
Okay.
I ain't never been to LA County Jail hole.
Okay, yeah. So they feed that to the people in the hole.
That's what they get to the people in the hole.
For punishment.
Yeah, that's what they get to people in the hole.
I feel like that's cruel and an unusual punishment. I think that's a violation of...
Let me tell you something right now, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm finna give you some realism. I don't give a damn what the food is in California. It beats Georgia. Georgia had the most horrible menu.
Even for regular food.
That shit was horrible. I swear to God, the bread was nasty, and I like bread. You know, I like bread. I like the bakery with the fresh smell of bread, and you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm that dude, right? The bread had a nasty aftertaste. I swear that shit was nasty. That food down there was so messed up, man. I ain't lying to you, man. That shit was horrible, man. I ain't like that. One thing about it I can say in Georgia, but Georgia's different. Georgia, the inmates don't work. They lay around all day. We're in a dorm, don't nobody go to work. You volunteer to go to work and be a porter or something like that there. But no one has it. Like here we get assigned, we got pay numbers and we got job assignments. And you going to school, you getting day for day, you getting a time cut. You know when you're getting out. Georgia, you don't know when the you're getting out. Georgia, you'll find out you getting out when about a week before you get out of prison. I found out I was getting out of prison a week before I got out of prison. I went to the halfway house. I figured I was getting out soon. But the whole time I was in jail, I didn't have no date.
But you were trying to estimate it in your mind?
Well, I was. They told me, okay, I had 5 years. My 5-year maximum was supposed to be November the 20. I want to say the 25th, 2025. That would have been my 5-year max. That would have been 5 years. I didn't know I was going to get a time cut. I didn't know. I went to the halfway house and everything, and I never got no trouble with that.
So you were under the assumption that you was going to have to max out?
Man, they got dudes in Georgia just doing maximum time, man. They got dudes in Georgia. It's not, the system is not like California's, man. They got people in Georgia that are stuck doing time. See, California, we get a projection of time.
Yeah.
You know, we know. I don't give a if I get out in 2072, I'm going to get a projection of time and a date. You see what I'm saying? Georgia, you don't get none of that there. It's all the consideration of the board.
Okay, so maybe at some point they realize let's let this guy out. Let's let Mr. Chapman out a few months early. And did they ever discuss to you why they made that decision, or they just
never got into nothing? I wasn't in shit. I was a model inmate in Georgia. I never got in. I stayed away. The one thing I can say in Georgia, and I know this happened, they kept me away from a lot of stuff and kept me in a lot of spaces, in some safe spaces, because when I got there, the gang officers would grab hold of me. When I got to Jackson, the gang officers came to me at Jackson. That's like that's like reception, right? But their prison is way worser because they prison, everybody got knives. Motherfuckers is roaming through the ceilings up in their prisons. They got tile ceilings in their damn prison. These motherfuckers roaming through the ceilings. Motherfuckers coming out, jumping from dorm to dorm, going through the ceiling, going one dorm to another, to the next. I'm talking about breaking in offices and shit. This is the shit they was doing in there, right? So this tells you how dangerous it is, because now you can see they can hide shit here, but they got metal because they can walk up to the fences. See, California, you can't walk up to the fence. You walk up to the fence in the California prison, they'll shoot you. They got it out of bounds on the ground. Red, it'll say out of bounds. You can't pass that line.
And how far is that from the fence?
I'm going to say 4 feet.
So they don't want you crossing that line.
Cross that line, you can be shot. But the thing in Georgia, you can get to the fence. They got metal. Everybody got metal. They got fucking iron down there. I was in Jackson, man. I seen going to chow. I've seen the police. They took somebody's knife. Motherfucker have a knife looking like a swashbuckler blade, like something out of Sinbad the Sailor or the Pirates of the Caribbean. But it would be so big, you'd be like, damn, where they get this from? But it was crazy down there. I mean, literally, the reception center was off the hook. I'm talking about, but this is what they did to me there. And that's why I say they kept me in safe spaces, because when they spoke with me, when I first arrived, then the gang officers came to me, right? The gang officers were cool as down there, but everybody was telling me they gonna send me to the hole. And I was thinking, I said, damn, I'm gonna go to the hole, because I'm high, down there. I was high profile. I was very high profile down there. So when I get there, I'm in the gym. Like 200 people come in. They got us sitting in the gym waiting for get our bedrolls and our housing and all this here. So they come into the gym. And the guys at Upson County had told me this. And the guy said, hey, man, you're going to go to the hole when you get to Jackson, because they're not going to let you be out there in general population.
Why not?
Influence.
Oh.
Influence. My influence. I did not know the level of influence till I got there. But they telling me, right, so they telling me this. And somebody else is telling me, the other homeboy twin is telling me, he said, man, they might need you. They might want to with you because they might need you. You know what I mean? They don't get people like you don't come through there every day. You know, like when last time you had an OG from LA come through a Georgia prison? Motherfucker really, really, really got a track record that really been around. So when they spoke with me, they came back and I was in the gym and I seen them come in, right? And they had on the IGI, Institutional Gang Intelligence. You know what I'm talking about, that, and that security threat group jacket. They had jacket, the STG, security threat groups. You know, that's prison groups, right?
Yeah, that's prison talk for gangs.
Prison gangs.
Yeah.
So anyway, everybody called about 20 people. So I said, cool. I said, cool. I'm gonna slide through this here because I'm thinking now I ain't gonna go to the hole or nothing, right? I said, cool. So now I'm sitting here. It's about an hour later. Gang officer come back out, call my name, Ronald Chapman. I said, guys, I'm finna go to the fucking hole, right? This is what I'm thinking. I just been 6 months in the hole in Upson County. I'm like, but I've been out. It's been over a year or something that I've been out because I did 2 years down there. So I said, damn. So I walk up to the gang officer. I said, damn, man, I knew I couldn't get past you motherfuckers, man. I said something like that to him, right? I said, because I'm thinking they finna put me in handcuffs and get ready to walk me off to the hole, right? So I walk off in their back in the office in the interview area, and they see me, and the gang officer look at me, and he looked at me. He said, man, I just wanted to shake your hand, man. What's up, OG? What's up, man? Him and his partner was like, oh, what's up, man? Well, it was cool, right? You know what I mean? 'Cause then we started talking. They seen where my head was at.
Did you get a chance to tell them that this case was exaggerated? And
everybody already knew about the case.
Even
they had been reading about my case and following my case. It was people that was following my case because it was a big case at that time. So it was people they was expecting me when I arrived. They knew I was there. Plus the gang officer, one of the gang officers up there told me, he said the FBI and GBI contacted them when I left Upson County Jail just to let them know. And they suggested that I should be locked up. They suggested I should be locked up in what they call high max.
So the GBI wasn't really too friendly towards you then.
No, I didn't have no conflicts with them.
But they
just trying to make me look like
they want you to go to the hole.
Yeah, they want me. They want me to hole. They want me to hole. Hey, look, and the gang officer told me straightforward. He said they told me. So we had a conversation right at that moment, and they were talking to me, and I was explaining to them, man, this is some bullshit. I'm not. This ain't even my deal. You know what I mean? They said, man, this was, they done their research on me. They know the stuff I was doing here. They know what I was doing in L.A. They said, man, look, let me tell you like this here. Typically, we get somebody as high profile as you come through here. You go straight to high max, but we feel we can use you. We're going to send you down here where we working at. They sent me to the dorms in Jackson. You know what I mean? They sent me to the dorms down there. It was cool in the dorms down there. But they sent me down there, but this is what they used to do. When something happens, they're going to come and get me and take me over where it happened at because 99.9% of the drama was happening with the Bloods. So you taking me, I'm going from place to place. I'm out there putting out fires for them. You know what I mean? That was cool though. And then I started doing orientation. Everybody that came through, anybody watching this that came through Jackson when I was there will tell you I was doing orientation. I'm talking about for 4 months, homie, I did orientation every Tuesday and Thursday when people come through Jackson. I'm the dude. They got to come through the room. It was me. It was a couple gangster disciples. It was a couple Muslims. We was all welcome to Jackson, motherfucker.
Did you get to take some pictures with all these folks? Was there any photography?
Nah, there was no photography.
Damn.
It was interesting though. It was a whole nother world there though, man. But the gang officers, they was cool. And they kept me out of this shit because they didn't want to put me in the shit. But watch this. You would rather have me here working with you on your side, doing what I'm doing, talking to people and keeping the drama down and walking and talking to the gang members, than to have me with the gang members. Because I might be able to incite some shit and have this place go crazy. You understand what I mean? I got on a bus. Hey, I kid you not, I got on a bus. It was some dudes on the bus talking about me. They ain't never met me a day in their life, but they was talking like they knew me. I'm on the bus listening. I'm on the bus, literally real talk. I'm in Georgia. I'm on the bus listening. And these guys are talking like they know me. They talking as if the guy talking like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I talked to Woody. I'm just listening. I ain't even saying nothing. I ain't saying that. Because down there, it's different. And when I say it's different, I mean it's different because, dude, it's like we in the South, man, and you got all these people down here that are so hell-bent on this L.A. gang culture. And it's a difference from me seeing it on the inside from the prisons. Because now you're seeing the internal structure. See, they don't have a structure like we do. We have a natural structure. They don't have that. Because a lot of the guys don't come from the streets as gang members. They become gang members in prison.
That's crazy because I just talked to a guy that's in the North Carolina prison right now. He calls me, and he's from L.A. He's in prison in North Carolina. He says, man, these people here in North Carolina, there's no politics, there's no structure.
No politics, right.
And I think maybe that's a good thing because you're not going to get the conflict.
It's different. And I'm going to say that because I was in Upson County and blacks and whites got high together. That was some shit. I was like, whoa, this is, man, what?
Yeah, there's more racial politics in the California prison too.
Man, ain't no, let me tell you something. This is California, dude. We ain't finna, when I got to Upson County, and I'll be honest, when I was in Upson County, when I went to the hole, right, I was in the hole for about 2 weeks by myself. And I was in the segregation where I was at. I was in there for like 2 weeks by myself. Then they started doing quarantine for COVID. And they started bringing people in. They brought some white dudes in. These white dudes was in the cell next to me for about another 2 weeks. I never spoke to them. These motherfuckers right in the cell next to me. I never talked to them for 2 weeks. I never talked to them. Because California, we don't talk to white people. When I came out the cell, when I came out of the hole, and I went into B-Pod, which is a general population pod at Upson County Jail. So I come out and I go into B-Pod, right? And I'm sitting there watching TV, and every day I'm watching TV. It was a little white dude, man, named Joe. He used to always try to talk to me at first, and I would never talk to Joe. He was cool as a motherfucker to me, and eventually got to be cool because eventually I had to lighten up with that California politic type of shit. Because in my mind, I'm on California time, but I'm realizing I'm in their world. This is their world. The blacks and the whites. Let me tell you something, man. I was in jail. Let me tell you. I'm sitting up in here, man, you hear white boys say nigga, but you saying, what the f*** you say? But then you realize these motherfuckers all grew up together. So they all been together. The blacks and the whites and all these motherfuckers, they all been together forever.
They've been running the streets together for years.
Talking the same talk.
Yeah.
I'm in the jail. I meet white bloods and shit. I'm serious. I met white bloods and shit down in my, I mean, it was interesting. It was interesting to me because I'm in the South. This 2,000 miles away. I'm looking at these motherfuckers like I'm so lost at everything that they speak of. Imagine people coming through for 4 years, having conversations about the world, and I can't identify with nothing they saying. They tell me about the Piggly Wiggly down the way down there by the market or wherever. I ain't never even been to the Piggly Wiggly, but everybody up in here know what the Piggly Wiggly is, and they all talking about it.
Yeah, you sitting there confused, right?
Right. It's just another world.
Yeah.
It's somewhere else in the world, but it's interesting because the LA influence. I'm meeting people, and it's so interesting. The influences, two biggest influences in this United States around black people have to be the GDs and the Bloods and the Crips. LA and Chicago have to have the two biggest influences because I'm telling you, I'm down there. This is the influence in the South I see. You know what I'm saying? This is what I see in the South. I'm down there. I've never been around GDs.
I would throw the Vice Lords in there with the GDs. You got the GDs and the Vice Lords, right? I
say what I say because I met one Vice Lord.
Okay.
But I met a lot of GDs.
They call it growth and development now. Have you heard that phrase?
Yeah.
Growth.
Well, they told me about some stuff down there. See, they got these, okay. Remember they used to talk about that 8-ball. When I got to Georgia, they talked about black cherry. Black cherry was supposed to be some kind of alliance with Blood and GD. This is what the people was telling me about. I don't know exactly how that works or nothing, but these are the things that they telling me about, and this is what I'm seeing. It was a new landscape. It was a new environment, and then for me in the institution, it was different because I'm just seeing the institutional level of this. I've never seen what this looks like in the world.
Is there an Atlanta car in the prison where most of the Atlanta dudes kind of run it since Atlanta's the biggest city in Georgia?
They call it's the city in the country.
Okay.
It's the city in the country. They don't like country dudes. They say anybody that ain't from Atlanta is from the country.
Yeah.
Now, to me now, I ain't gonna sit here and lie. I'm sitting there looking at these dudes talking about I'm from a big city. This and this. Your city your city has something in the area of about, let us say, 9 million people. I mean, no, 400,000. I'm trying to explain. I'm from a city that got like 6 million people in it. They tell me I'm looking up the state. The state has 9 million people in it. I'm telling you, LA County got 10 million people.
Yeah, it's a small city for the United States comparison, but for Georgia, it's the biggest.
It's a big city. It's not a metropolis.
Look, this is how you know a city is not a huge city because the tallest building in Atlanta is a hotel.
Right.
The Westin Hotel.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So when the tallest building in your town is a hotel, I mean, you're not that big.
It's not they're not skyscrapers.
Yeah, they're not.
But it was cool down there. The people was cool. It was good people down there. And honestly, truthfully, I met really good people down there.
Now I want to know, what do you think was the reason they let you out early? Did the COs maybe tell them, "Oh yeah, Ronald is a model inmate. You know, we got no problem with him." Did they ever share that with you?
I just did a good program. I didn't get in no shit. I did my time. One thing about me, homie, I know how to do time. I know what's my shit and what's not. I know what to get into and what not to get into. I know how to handle whatever I need to handle and handle it properly. I'm not gonna find myself in bad situations because I know what to do before I enter the situation. So therefore, me myself personally, when everybody look at me and see me, they see me just doing my time. If you see anybody around me, I was in the halfway house, right? There was some young homies in the halfway house with me, right? It was about 2, 3, 4, about 5 of them. 5 young homies. They was all out of Georgia claiming 20s. And they used to all be around me, and we'd be eating on certain days. We'd eat, right? And the officer there used to always trip off me. He said, man, I ain't never seen that trip off of how the guys, you have everybody all eat together, and they so respectable, and this, and this, and this, and this. Because also, you know what I mean? I'm gonna let you know what's cool and what's not. You know what I mean? But they would just trip off of me because of the fact that the youngsters were respectable around me also, even with the problem sometimes.
Now, I wanted to ask you about this trend of RICOs, since you've experienced it, and here in LA, I think the first RICO against a gang in LA may have been in the late 90s, but then when 2000 hits, we start hearing it more. And then by the time you get to the 2000 teens, you start hearing it almost every year. And now we're at a point that there is a federal indictment against some sort of gang in LA area almost every 2 months now. Let me just give you a few. For example, La Puente 13 was just indicted December 2025. Rancho San Pedro was just RICO'd in October of 2025. The Van Owen Street Locals, which are out in the Valley, they were just indicted in September. The Rollin 60s, that Big U indictment, that was March of 2025. And I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. I mean, we off camera, we talked about the 2 BPS indictments, right. Red Rain and Cold Stone. I remember the Avenues out in Northeast LA, they had 2 indictments in the 2000s. Have you ever thought about, like, why is the law enforcement and the FBI linking up with the locals so much to put so much resources, so much law enforcement resources for the same crimes that the state can charge if they want to do it? You know, there's nothing, to me, at least the way I see it, I don't see anything more spectacular. I don't see anything more violent. I don't see anything more criminal. Why are the feds meddling in local business so much?
Because they want accountability for the crime that's been committed that they have not been able to make nobody responsible for. So if they seek a RICO, they're seeking leadership of some sort, some kind of structure. See what I'm saying? Because, okay, a lot of those you mentioned were Hispanic groups, and we already know that structure. And we know that there's that hierarchy that they answer to, and we know the scrutiny of that. So it's within their circles, it's always going to be that way because there's that hierarchy that exists, and there's always going to be indictments because there's always going to be trying to knock the heads that are on the ladder. They're always going to be trying to knock them down, but they're always going to be trying to knock them down because the next one's going to be climbing right up, taking his place. So that's always going to happen with them, and that scrutiny is going to happen from community to community because of the way the rank and file is set up. Now, with the black groups, it's the same thing. They want accountability for the crime, but there is no organized structure. So now when you got those that's out in the front, the voice, the person somebody that where people know who they respect, because you can get a RICO, you ain't got to commit a crime. You don't have to be doing nothing to get the RICO. Somebody can tell you about a crime, and you can get the RICO act because you got knowledge. See, the conspiracy part of it is the RICO. So I can be planning to do something, and me and you can be talking about it, and me and these 3 dudes can go over here and do it, right? This is all structured. This is constructive. We're planning. We're putting it together. There's a hierarchy. I'm going to plan it. Now, y'all go do it. Bring me back the money.
Yeah.
Now, you see that hierarchy, right? That right there, they want that guy, but they got to create that guy. But at the same time, watch this. They want accountability from the gangs themselves because of the fact that they've been operating the way they've been operating for so long and they ain't been able to get the people they want. It's like when they grabbed me, right? They put it on paper as if I've been operating a criminal street gang and this, and this. But I'm the brokest motherfucker to ever get the RICO Act. So I'm operating a criminal street gang. But I keep saying this, they don't make the RICO Act for punks. The one thing about all of this here, and people are not conscious of, and I'm very conscious now of this, influence is everything. They had me because of my influence. You trying to tell me, they tell me my influence is this big, but I don't control that. I control my narrative. I control what it is that I want people to get from me as far as a message.
Now, if somebody just cash apps me $100 because they want to look out for me, can that pull me into a RICO? Because, hey, maybe they like my work. Maybe they support me.
No.
You know, they cash apping me money.
No.
It looks like a money trail.
No. Because of the fact that there's legalities to that too. Because of the fact that you can see means and the ways there's a trail where the money came from. Now, if there's a criminal structure, let us say we shaking down the drug dealers, right? But now when I shake the drug dealers down, I got to send you the money. That's the RICO.
Yeah.
Because we committing the crime on your behalf. We committing on behalf of the organization. And the administration within the organization is receiving the royalties and the benefits from what's going on. To where whatever that allotment is that comes back from that on a kickback, I don't know what it would be. But what they want is basically they want to be able to put faces on this.
Well, there's been quite a few black gangs here in L.A. that have been RICO'd or federally indicted. I should have got a list, but the Rollin 40s we mentioned that.
I remember them. I remember when they got them.
The Rollin 40s, I guess because they did those bank robberies. I'm not sure if the bank robberies was before or after, but the Pueblos on the east side.
Right.
I remember when the Campanellas got indicted in 2007 because they was working with BMF. Right. I remember Big Kenzo was a fugitive out of that one.
Right.
So of course we got the Black P Stones. I think the Black P Stones are probably the only black gang to be indicted twice. Yeah, 2 times.
Right.
And they do these press conferences. We're gonna bring an end to the gang.
Right.
We're gonna destroy its leadership. We're gonna bring the community.
You want to know something about that? I'm gonna be honest and truthfully with you. That shit is politics.
Yeah, it's all theatrics.
That's theatrics.
It's like
That's
a show.
Politics. They go back to when they got me. The fucking horse and pony show. You got the governor here. Motherfucker, what have I done to have a governor involved?
It's my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to you the 83rd governor of the state of Georgia, Mr. Brian Kemp.
Thank you, Vic, for that, and I'm honored to be here. I just we started talking about this, as Vic mentioned, over 3 years ago during my campaign, and I'm just incredibly proud of the work that we've all been able to accomplish. And it is literally a federal, state, local partnership, and that is what has made us so successful, and we're committed to continuing that in the future, because this is a very organized groups of people that we're going after. They're sophisticated, and it takes all of us working together to be able to continue to bring them to justice and to keep our communities safe. So with that, I'll just close with letting all these gang members know that just because we're having a press conference today, when it ends, our work is not done. We will continue to work hard every day to keep our citizens safe and to follow these individuals that are breaking the law and circumventing our system and making our communities less safe every day. We will follow you wherever we need to.
This particular operation is dubbed Operation Caged Doves, and I'm proud to announce today that it's netting 46 RICO and gang statute indictments. After a year-long joint investigation, 46 people have now been indicted by the grand jury of Upson County on a number of charges. Those include 92 counts of racketeer, influenced, and corrupt organization acts, or RICO counts. There's an additional 59 counts of the violation of the Georgia Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, the Gang Act here in Georgia. You may have heard us say before, it's one of the most powerful tools that the legislature has ever given law enforcement, and we certainly appreciate their willingness to do that. There are multiple counts of trafficking in methamphetamine, trafficking in heroin, multiple counts of possession of firearm during the commission of a felony, possession with intent to distribute marijuana, possession by felony, convicted felons in the possession of a firearm, financial transaction card fraud, 24 counts of aggravated assault, 4 counts of kidnapping, 4 counts of battery, 2 counts of tampering with evidence, 4 counts of felony murder, and 4 counts of conspiracy to commit armed robbery. The investigation showed us that between May 2014 and September 2020, the men and women who have been indicted participated in a pattern of racketeering activity as part of a criminal enterprise known as the Rollin 20 Neighborhood Bloods. Some great news that we just learned late yesterday. GBI gang task force members flew out to Los Angeles, California, for the purpose of looking for the ringleader of this particular group, a gentleman by the name of Ronald Elwood Chapman. Mr. Chapman, we believe, is a third-generation member of this particular gang. And through evidentiary matters, we discovered that he was making organizational decisions regarding the expansion of this group and this gang throughout Georgia, South Carolina, and other states.
I'm a motherfucker cleaning carpet. I'm delivering Uber. I ain't so dope since 06.
Hey, it's a fact. He was cleaning carpets because when I used to have a carpet here, I ripped it out. Who shampooed the carpets to this entire unit?
Me? Yep. That's the point I'm making. So, but this is why I say that the politics. See, now watch this. The problem is that you might have 1 or 2 people doing stuff, but these 2 people get connected to other people through other stuff. On my case, I got a homie calling me from the jail. The homie, I don't know what they into, what he's into, but he's calling a lot of other people too. I don't know what they talking about. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing they talking about, but my phone number is in here. So now, when you find me involved in this with my phone number, this is like fishing for catfish and catching a great white shark. You see what I'm saying? Now you ain't finna throw me back. You finna do what you gonna do with me. You know what I'm saying?
So they had someone else's phone being monitored, and
The homie was in jail calling people. From
it was just a jail phone. It was just
jail phone. This is
being
simple.
recorded
You simple phone call. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, man. Yeah, you know this and this and this and this. You know. But you got to be careful because I'm intervention. I'm dangerous because this is danger. Motherfucker called me up and said, hey, man, the homie's down here tripping, man. We'll got a gun. Such and such got a gun. They talking about shooting each other over whatever. This girl, they money, whatever the fuck they want to fight. They don't like each other, whatever, right? Watch this. This can be called leadership. And this can be called shot calling. Tell them motherfuckers put them guns down. Get out there. If they got problems, squabble the fuck up. Get it out the air. Go on about their business.
So trying to tell them to do it a better way.
Right. That can be shot.
Get you in trouble.
That can get you in trouble.
Because they're listening.
Right. That's shot calling, ain't it?
I don't know.
I'm even though I'm solving the problem and everybody's going home safely.
Yeah, well, the police can call anything.
But those are the type of things though, because I have had them kind of calls, and I ain't gonna sit there and lie and say I haven't. I have had to intervene in some things. You know what I'm saying? I've had people call me and say, "Hey, man, this shit might get bad," and I've had to intervene sometimes. Say, "Hey, man, y'all cut that shit out," because sometimes I might be the voice of reason. I might be the one that you might be willing to listen to. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, you do have to be careful what you say on the phone, because I remember Alex Sanchez from Homies Unidos, who used to be from MS. He got indicted for a murder. He got indicted for a murder that happened in El Salvador that didn't even happen in America.
I just met him.
Okay. He was on a phone call, and all he said was they had like 1,000 phone calls. He was on 4 phone calls, and the worst phone call I think was he said, if they want to go to war, we can go to war. Got indicted.
Right. But
he beat that case, though. He beat the case. He beat that case.
Right, but you see what I'm saying,
Yeah.
though. You got to be careful what you say.
And all he was doing was just defending himself.
Right, but that's what I mean. That's the same as if you telling me, hey, man, if I get the call and somebody's telling me about 2 dudes finna kill each other, and I can think of a better way and make sure everybody get home safe that night. You might be bruised and battled, beat up a little bit because you might not have been able to take what the other person gave your ass, but you made it home back to your family. I think that's a better alternative than saying, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you just met him recently, Alex Sanchez.
Well, we did we did a training with Homies Unidos with all the different organizations and stuff for my job that I'm on now.
You familiar with Berendo Junior High, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where all the first generation MS dudes went to Berendo,
remember
which
them.
is not that far from
Hold up,
here.
let me tell you something. I used to buy weed from them when they was MSS
Yeah.
on Ardmore.
Okay.
I
I
used
thought
to
you
go-
were gonna say Fedora.
No,
Just close to
Ardmore.
Ardmore.
No, Playboys was on Fedora.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Ardmore Park. I used to buy weed from them when they was MSS, when they was stoners. Literally, they was rockers. They wasn't even gangsters then. I remember when they started MS. I remember that. You know what I mean? You know, close as our communities are, that's only about a mile and a half away.
Yeah. It's the next look for junior highs. You have Mount Vernon, which is Johnny Cochran.
Right.
You have Berendo.
Right.
And you have John Burroughs, and then you have the one in the Harlem's. Fauché.
Right.
Those four schools cover all of this area. Fauché,
Right.
Mount Vernon, John Burroughs, and Berendo.
Right.
Am I missing any other one?
No.
Yeah. Those.
Early on, I'm gonna tell you something interesting. You know that early on that our homies had a great attendance at Berendo
Yeah.
because the neighborhood started north of the freeway. So that was the school district
There were more blacks at Berendo back in the day.
back in the days. And a lot of our people went to LA High back then too.
Yeah, for sure.
My brothers went to LA High, and my oldest brother went to Manual, and I think Raymond went to LA High.
I guess the two main high schools back then would have been Manual Arts or LA High.
Arts and LA High.
And Dorsey wasn't that far either.
Dorsey sat in the back by the jungle over there. See, we was all going locally to school. You can imagine if you lived on Washington. You didn't think about Dorsey if you live on Washington. You live on Washington and Normandy, you ain't think about Dorsey.
Yeah, it's either Manual Arts or LA High.
Right, exactly. I mean, but it's interesting though. I remember that. Let me tell you something that's fascinating to me. I was in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So I'm out here with some Bloods. This is in 04, I think it was. So I'm out here with some Bloods. I'm at Feaster Park out here in New Brunswick. I'm out here with some 20s in Feaster Park in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm out here with about 15, 20 people, right? So we sitting here. So a group of Mexicans come. A group of Hispanics come. And we in the bleachers. And they in the bleachers on like right on the other side from us, right? So I'm asking, who are those? The Latin Kings? Because I was in I was in the area where Latin Kings was, because I was staying in Forest Hill, in Newark, right? And that's like a heavy Latin King and Nietas down there, right?
Yeah.
So we sitting in Feaster Park and we doing our thing. So I asked the homie, I'm like, who is that right there? You know this and this and this? I'm thinking they're Latin Kings. So the homie go talk to him. And he come back. Is it like 20, 25 of them? He come back, sit back over here and say, oh, they're from MS. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Because think about this. I'm in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm sitting in the park on the bleachers with some fucking Rolling 20 Bloods and some MSs on the other side, like I'm in Los Angeles.
It must be a trip because you're saying to yourself, like, damn, that hood started a few blocks away from where I lived, and now I'm over here 3,000 miles away.
You want to know what it was? It was the influence that gets me. Because like I say, once again, it's amazing. I mean, you're going to meet some people I met people that took it seriously. I met a guy when I was doing the orientations in Jackson. He came through Jackson. And this dude, when he came through, this guy had tattoos. I thought he was from Los Angeles, right? I thought he was from APB. And he had the tattoos and everything. Looked like me. I thought he had LA tattooed on him, right? Like the LA Dodger LA. He had that tattooed on him. So I'm waiting to talk to him because I see him and I'm looking. I'm like, oh, this must be a homie. Let me see what's up with him. You know what I mean? Because I always try to make sure the homies are straight when they enter, right? So I'm talking to this dude, man. This dude was from Tennessee.
Fascinated with LA, huh?
Man, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I've seen it. I'm telling you from being in the system, it's a whole nother world.
Look, when I was young, when I first moved out to LA in 81 from New York had the most influential culture, it seemed like, back then, with hip hop, breakdancing, graffiti, rapping, DJing. Right. But then over the years, I think LA surpassed New York in terms of being most influential. But I also got to say, the South eventually got a name for themselves.
You want to know what it was? To be honest, but I believe what that influence was, the movies, motion pictures, and I believe that's what it did for the South too. Because look now how they're making movies in the South. See, the East was always about music, right? But there wasn't independent movies really coming out of the East. On the West Coast, we had the movie industry. You see what I'm saying? That our influence came visually because we was in your living room in lowriders. We was in your living room with flags hanging out our pockets. We was in your living room smoking blunts, and you understand what I'm saying? We was there. You could see us. You saw this. See, the music's influence is auditory. The visual came from not just the West Coast rap, but the West Coast images, because now the world was exposed to the barbecues, the low riding. They was exposed to when I was young, we created images, right? Madd Ronald was an image that was created from the environment, the landscape, and the people around him. When I looked at the OGs around me, I took a piece of everybody and I made something. I took what I liked from those that I might have looked up to, and I created a character, right? From all of this. Now, you can go on YouTube and might be able to Google how to be a gang member.
Yeah. All right, I wanted to ask you about this before we wrap up. There was a shooting that happened on Manchester and Normandy on very recently at 6:45 p.m. You heard about this shooting?
Yeah, I heard about the shooting yesterday.
I think it was at the Louisiana?
At the Louisiana on Manchester and Normandy.
Okay, and the way that the article reads is that 5 people were shot and they were all there waiting for their food.
Yeah, man, let me tell you something that's honest and truthfully real, and I swear to God, let me tell you what I was doing at that time.
Okay.
I was at a chicken spot in Watts. And I'm telling my girl how dangerous it is, because I told my girl the better the chicken is, the more dangerous the area is. And it's the truth, because they got some good-ass chicken at that Louisiana down there. I've ate that chicken before. But I say this, and it sounds funny, but I myself personally, I eat in some places where people wouldn't think I eat at because of the food. But it's a shame that things like that take place. It's dangerous in Los Angeles in general. And evidently, if those 5 people weren't targeted, there was a target.
And the other 4 were just,
right,
in the line of fire.
There was a target. This is Los Angeles. LA is a militarized combatant zone, and people have to realize that, because you can't get so relaxed that you're. See, it's funny. I'm going to tell you what's funny in my life. Funny thing in my life. Okay, my girl is from Mission Hills, so when I take her, like, we go to LA, her vision ain't the same as mine. I went to Compton yesterday, and I took her with me to the lowrider thing with the other side and the Namu riders. Her vision, we got to go to the lowrider thing. I mean, sit your ass in the car. If you see some shit going on, you pull that motherfucker up out of this thing here, and you get ready to go. I'm explaining. I'm planning an escape route before I even get up in here. You understand what I mean? People don't think like that, but this is, you already know how things can go. You at a function, you at a bottleneck of a little road, a two-lane road, one up, one down. You got about 300 cars up here already in the parking lots. That's a horrible scene for something bad to happen in.
Yeah.
So I'm already planning my way out. But my girl's vision ain't the same as mine, because she don't have the same experiences that I have.
That might be PTSD.
My PTSD?
Yeah, your PTSD is on got you on alert.
My PTSD always has me on alert. Yeah. I'm conscious of things. Yeah. I know some things. So that's what's a trip to me, because I'm telling her this, right? But I understand that LA is just so dangerous, man, that it's a shame if you can't stand in line and get chicken. It's a shame, because motherfuckers out there shooting, and watch this. Whoever they meant to shoot, they probably didn't even get them.
All right, let me play this clip from the local news.
This morning, 5 people were shot in South LA's Manchester Square neighborhood. It happened around 6:45 last night on Manchester and Normandy. Police say the men were waiting for their food when a car drove by, firing several rounds. The victims were transported to a local hospital where one later died. Police say it's unclear if the shooting was gang-related.
There you go. And you was out and about when this was happening.
I was in Watts eating chicken. I'm in Watts, a dangerous place eating chicken, a very dangerous place eating some good chicken too. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Hey, so the chicken spot that we all used to go to over here on our side, Golden Bird on Adams and Brighton Normandy, was that always a Golden Bird there, or was it something before?
It was originally, that was the original Golden Bird.
That's the very first
That was
Golden
the
Bird,
very
yeah.
first one that the Stennis family opened up. That was the very first Golden Bird right there.
But there were a few other Golden Birds, but they didn't really blow up, huh?
No, that was the one. But see, that was the one in West Adams. You got to think, what was West Adams when that Golden Bird opened? West Adams was like the black Mecca, the black Beverly Hills. See, remember we had all the entertainers here.
Wait, who owned the Golden Bird?
Stennis family.
Okay.
But you take into consideration what was West Adams when Golden Bird was here.
Yeah, I mean West Adams was like the black Beverly Hills.
It was right. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It was a black Mecca for us. It was a place economically where we sustained. When I first moved to West Adams, I'm gonna say West Adams had to be 85% black.
Yeah, especially on the other side of Arlington, the houses get huge. Mm-hmm. They're basically mansions.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember when they shut the freeway down, crossing the freeway. We used to have a tunnel that went underneath the freeway, and they closed that down. That really, really did a lot in stopping foot traffic from going across the freeway, across the 10.
Was that after that 1981 killing that they shut it down?
It was afterwards.
Oh.
That was afterwards. This happened. This was on LaSalle by Congress. There was by Congress and 22nd under the freeway. There was a tunnel. It's been bricked up now.
Yeah.
They closed off and bricked it up. We used to be writing all kind of crazy shit used to happen in the tunnel.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Isn't that where Chipper used to live? Down
On that end, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but when that tunnel was the foot traffic from one side to the other.
Yeah.
Now you got to go to Normadie or Western. So that cut off a lot of us communicating. Because I used to hang out on that side of the freeway. And it was different. You know what I mean? It was just different. You know what I mean? But the Golden Bird there. Golden Bird was iconic because it was a black Golden Bird. It was independently owned by black people in a black community. And they brought that recipe. Oh, man, I read about them, man. They brought that recipe the recipe came from wherever they came from.
Yeah, at some point, I think it was owned by some Chinese people, right?
Louisiana.
Oh, it became a Louisiana? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
When they closed it, it was Louisiana. It ain't been Golden Bird since about 90. Something like that there. It ain't been Golden Bird since the 90s.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't really know about the Golden Bird franchise, huh?
A lot of young people don't know about it.
Yeah.
If you older, you know about the Golden Bird franchise. Because you got to think, Golden Bird was chicken. At one point in time, there was no Louisiana. It was Jim Dandy, Golden Bird, and who else?
You remember Pup and Taco? I remember some of these early 80s food places we used to go to.
Taco on Pico.
Yeah.
Over there by where this is something else on West Boulevard and Pico right now. It used to be on West Boulevard and Pico.
There was a Pup and Taco right there, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I remember that. I remember Pup and Taco. But it's interesting because in L.A., they say that the better the chicken, the more dangerous the community. And I've heard that, right? I got to think about the places that I go. Because I've been in some places. Now, I'm going to tell you where I used to go eat at. And I had it bad, man. I had it bad. I used to eat there every day. King of Vermont at Louisiana. They got them catfish nuggets. Them cook the shit out of them. Them some good ass nuggets.
So that was a little risky venture to go there.
I'll go. I just, I'm moving around. I'm not hanging out nowhere. I'm not with the wrong intent.
I'm saying, but back in the day, did you think that
when I was young, I wouldn't have went over there. When I was young, I was a lot more security conscious about myself because of what I was in, because I was into that.
Did you think that back in the day, Johnny's Pastrami was a little dangerous spot at night?
It was dangerous.
Yeah, a couple people got killed there.
Shit, when they had that shootout there, 75 rounds right in that little ass, the parking lot ain't no wider than this living room, and they had to shoot at them 75 rounds right up in there.
Tiny parking lot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I say that. But Johnny was dangerous. It was dangerous all over. It's funny now because that I be thinking about things like gentrification, right? But when I think about it, and I'm going to think about the bad part of it because I'm going to think about the displacement of people. And I'm going to think about how people being pushed. And I'm thinking about the homelessness and how it's creating another level of homelessness. But I also look at how it made some of these communities safe because they got some of these problems out of here. You know what I mean? They got some of these problems. Like some of these communities were made a lot safer by way of the gentrification. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. But my issue with gentrification is that it displaces certain residents. Now they can't afford to stay there.
Right.
But from what I understand, when they build these new fancy, properties, they reserve only 10% for low income.
Right.
And maybe that should be a little higher. But of course, a building manufacturer, a guy that's making buildings, he's there to make money.
That's it.
He's there to profit.
You have nowadays, because you got to think the corporations are buying the real estate. You got stockholders, you got investors, you got people who want a return on investment. And then how can the cost of the rent go down when I'm expecting your stocks to go up?
Yeah, but now people can't afford to live where they grew up.
But this is the problem. And I myself, I don't support gentrification, but I'm gonna show you something about people. We're the only people that choose to stay in the same place that we grew up in. Our parents didn't raise us in the places they grew up in. Human beings are nomadic. We move around.
That's true, because all my family is from a small island in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. None of my family lives there anymore.
Right. Because human beings are nomadic.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people can't wait to get the opportunity to leave. They've been in these spaces all their lives, been there for so long, they just want to go. So now where you going to go, it don't make a difference. I just want a life of my own somewhere else. You got like me, my family comes from Rochester, New York. My father traveled from Rochester, New York, all the way to Los Angeles to make a life. You know what I mean? Once he got here and got stable, then he sent for me and my mother. But he didn't want to raise me where he grew up at.
But there is a movement for people who retire and become elderly to go back to where they're from. They might go back to Louisiana. They might go back to Texas.
Right.
I know my wife's parents, they went back to Belize.
Right.
Even though they came to LA for a better life.
Right, right.
When they got in their 70s, they went back to Belize.
But it's a difference. Watch this. When you leave, you're searching for the life and you don't have economic stability. Mm-hmm. Right? When you go back, you're going back with economical stability. You're going back, you've been established in the United States. You've already done your thing here. You done made it here. But considering what the value of the dollar is here comparing to the dollar in Belize, you can probably take that retirement money from the United States and live for the rest of your life and be rich in Belize.
Yeah, you could probably buy a better home. I could tell you this. I went to Johnny's Pastrami with the wife a couple of times, and I'm like, do you know how much pastrami they used to put on this sandwich? No. They would put so much pastrami on the sandwich, I would come home and make 2 sandwiches out of it.
Right, I know.
I was there now. That's the skimpiest pastrami sandwich I've ever had.
But but you gonna look and see who's running the place now.
Yeah.
They done made it.
You remember them sandwiches? How fat they were?
That pastrami dip.
Oh man,
that pastrami dip. They got that. What about that? They got that other Johnny's on Washington.
I missed the original one. Now let me ask you about another spot that's iconic around here, Chabolita. It's now a burger spot.
It's
Smack Burgers now on Western off of Washington. Mm-hmm. Was that kind of a little shady spot too? Sometimes at night, I know a couple people got shot up at Chabolitas over the years.
Yep, I'm gonna tell you. I watched. Okay, here you go one. Here go one for you. I remember Mama Mia's before Chabolita on the other corner.
Where?
Wait, was that on the other corner, or was it Chabolita's?
I remember this Chabolitas, but you've been around here a little longer than me.
No, Mama Mia sat on the other corner where the strip mall is at before the strip mall was there.
Okay, across the street, across the street.
Mama Mia sat right there because it was another hamburger stand right there, and then was the barbecue spot right there behind it.
The hamburger stand was in a really small.
That was Mama Mia's.
Wait, the hamburger stand was Mama Mia's?
It was Mama Mia's.
That little tiny little building?
No. That was the barbecue spot. The one that's there is still there. The little structure is still there. That's the barbecue spot. But there was right where the strip mall is at, there was another hamburger stand.
Okay.
That was Mama Mia's.
Now, you must be talking early 80s then. Maybe late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I don't remember
Mama Mia's.
I don't remember Mama Mia's.
Yeah, that was a long time. Long.
I remember Chabolitas because in high school, my friend Chavella lived right across the street, and I used to walk her home. And so I would stop at Chabolitas once in a while. But I feel like Chabolitas was an iconic place in our community, and I was a little disappointed when it became this burger place.
Well, the thing about that is that we feel these ways about these things, but we're not willing to invest in them to maintain them and keep them as landmarks.
Yeah. I mean, I supported
There's
it.
some things that we see, but but this is the thing though. And this, I'm older now, and I have a greater understanding of nowadays that if we trying to make it happen, we got to make it happen with dollars. They ain't gonna keep a name on nothing if ain't nobody gonna put no money behind it. You know what I mean? Everything costs. If that's like saying if somebody said, well, Chapalitas was the building that should have been the building left the name Chapalitas, then somebody should have bought Chapalitas and named it Chapalita. You know what I mean? Well, at the time when the economical strikes kicked in, when they said we're gonna sell this place, somebody else, because of the fact that, I mean, that's the key right there. The key objective to all this is economical stability. And that's the power of it all.
There you go. That's Madd Ronald breaking it down. Let the people know where they could tap in with you one more time.
Y'all can catch me at Hoodwire TV, www.hoodwire.tv. You can catch me at Madd Ronald Radio Podcast on all social networks. You can catch me at the Hoodwire Radio Network on all podcast platforms. Y'all check me out. Y'all tap in. Y'all go over and run the numbers up for me. You know, I don't do that good on social media. You know why? You know what I realized? I don't do good on social media because I built a following in the street. That's crazy, huh?
Well, if sometimes it just takes a while to build your online following. You have Instagram?
Instagram, Madd_Ronald_radio_podcast and Hoodwire TV.
And I catch you on Facebook every once in a while. I see you on there too.
Yeah, Ronald Rollin.
Ronald Rollin.
You're on Facebook.
And I'm at Alex Alonso 101 on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And then, of course, we got the StreetTV platform where you're watching this now. And if you're listening to this, or if you want to listen to it, it's available on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and all audio podcast platforms. And on that note, we out.